Welcome to From Betrayal to Breakthrough. I'm Dr. Debbie Silber, and today's guest is Tash Leath-Hamilton. Tash is an intuitive guru and life advisor. Her God-given talent was identified at the age of 6 and allows her to read a person's past, present, and potential of their future by simply hearing their voice or taking one glance at them, whether in a picture or in person. Tasha's ability to sense exactly what an individual has gone through, accompanied with intuitively knowing where their future lays, makes her a resource for many. Tash uses this gift of intuition to help her clients shift their mindsets, change problematic behaviors, and move forward to create the best lives possible. Some of her clients consist of confidential A-list celebrities and Fortune 500 executives. She's a recurring guest on The Quicksilver Show with Dominique De Silva and has been featured on Sirius XM's The Clay Kane Show, The Jenny McCarthy Show, Condé Nast TV One, and many more. So do you want to know more about your past, present, and future? I'm chatting with my friend Tash, who is a brilliant intuitive advisor. She's going to be sharing what it's like to have the gift of deep intuition and how she uses it to guide, support, and give comfort to so many people who benefit from her work. Here's Tash. Okay, everybody, you are in for such a treat today because I have my friend Tash with us. And you know how you just meet somebody and just instantly you click? We met a few years ago and I just adore her. She is not only an intuitive genius, but she has such an energy that oozes from every pore. She's just a loving, giving, wonderful human being that I'm just honored to call friend. And you are going to be so amazed with just the intuitive hits that she shares and all about intuition and so much more. So welcome, Tash.
Thank you, Deb, my good friend. You're such a joy. I'm so grateful to be friends with you.
I'm just so glad to have you here. So let's just start with, what is intuition? Give us what is it?
Sure. So intuition for me is when I'm able to speak with someone in person, over the phone, look at a photo and identify what's happening in their lives, literally, without them having to tell me anything. So I can literally pick up something ranging from someone's past, from their present, as well as the possibility of their future, just from energy, just looking at them and just talking about everything in their lives.
Yeah, and that is so amazing. How did you? And this just didn't like happen one day. You've been doing this for a long time. How did it show up? Like, how did you know that you had this gift?
Yeah, so my family actually identified when I was 6 years old that I had this gift. So this is for everything. I'm pretty sure that I was born with this intuitive ability. When I was 6 years old, I told my mother something about a friend. And with regards to her health, without her telling me. My mom, she didn't even know like what was going on. And so when I told my mom to keep calling this woman and ask her about her heart, my mom called her and come to find out her friend was actually having heart surgery.
Wow.
Which my mom, she was like, well, how come you didn't tell me? Like, and then my mom's like, well, how did you know? And then that's when I had to explain to my mom, oh, I know things about people. And it was an interesting conversation. And so fast forward, when I was about like 8, 9, I had some family stuff going on and we were seeing a family therapist. And I ended up reading the therapist at the age of 7, 8 years old. And the therapist was so like shocked. She was like in tears. And I thought I was in trouble because my mom was like, you can't go around telling people about their lives. And so the therapist had to explain to my mother, like, your daughter, she's gifted. Like, she has a gift. She knows things. She told me everything. And then it just started happening more consistently. So yeah, my whole life.
Wow. So, and how do you see things? Is it that, do you see it? Do you just feel it? Like, how does this information get to you?
Yeah. So I don't see anything actually. I would just open up my mouth and just start speaking to you about what's on my heart. And because I have this gift of prophecy, within 24 hours, usually I forget like 90% of what we've discussed. So I'm just talking. I'm looking at you and I'm just talking. I'm listening to you. I'm just talking about what's coming on my mind and my spirit. And I'm just going off. And so by the next day, I won't remember anything. It comes and then it goes, like, or mostly anything rather. So yeah, I just start talking.
And
I don't even know what I'm saying as it's coming out of my mouth.
Well, and in a way, it's probably better because if you're saying something and maybe it's really hard news for that person to hear, that would be such a burden for you. to
Yes,
stay with, right? To
truly.
have that stuff stay with you.
Oh
And
yeah.
and I have to tell everybody who's listening, you have to understand when Tasha and I met, this was really early on in my betrayal, and I was
Yeah.
not ready to talk about it. You know, they say you want to wait for like the wisdom when it's you have the experience without the pain, and I was not ready to talk about it just yet. And she just knew. And she just
Yeah.
knew. And it was so eerie but comforting at the same time, you know. And
Yeah.
so that's got to be, I imagine, the experience that a lot of other people have had. So
It
give us
is.
an idea. Yeah, I want to know like the kind of things that you share with people and how they kind of come into the conversation, how they feel when they leave. Give us like a whole picture.
Okay, so I just want to backtrack for 2 seconds. So you mentioned that spoke to you about you and your husband's situation when
Mhm.
I don't remember that. Just so you
Good,
know.
because yeah, that's okay.
Oh, okay,
You nailed it.
good.
You nailed it, and you were totally dead on.
Wow. Okay, well, moving on. So your question is, what is the experience like for
I,
me when I speak to people intuitively?
and also, and I have to, and I want to say, then you had spoken with him. Now this was a couple of years after, and you heard his voice, and I remember you looking at me saying, "He's a good man." It's like
Yes, he is.
you just you knew the changes. So I mean,
He
that's
is.
how intuitive you are. But yeah, like somebody
Yeah.
comes to see you, they want to know information. First of all, is it like, do they even know what they want to know, or are they coming
Yeah,
in for
most people
specific?
do. Yeah, most people see the thing with my gift. I know what's most important to discuss. So even if you think you want to talk to me about one thing, something else completely different that's most important may come up. So it's not really what people want. And I tell people this all the time. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to know, right? And most people try to sweep things under the rug because they don't want to talk about the brutal, the things that really is weighing heavy in their lives. They want to talk about the nonsense that really doesn't make any sense. And so if your husband, for instance, or your spouse is cheating on you, I am going to say that. You may not bring that up in the session, and you don't have to. I'm going to bring it up because that's something that's important that needs to be dealt with in order for you to move forward. So it's really what's most important in your life, ranging from health, wealth, love, career, finances, family, friends. What's most important in that surfaces for me. That's the message that needs to be heard, what I say out of my mouth.
That's amazing. So now give us an
Yeah.
example, of course, no names, but of where you saw something and maybe you gave someone a heads up about something or you warned them about something, they took your advice, and what did it lead to? Like give us a
Mhm.
story.
So I work with a lot of celebrities in the industry. Let me use a regular client, for example. This I remember. I remember a client having a session with me. We had a session in Bryant Park. And I'm speaking to her about her awesome parents. They came up in the session. I said, your parents are amazing. I remember because this scared me. I said, your parents are amazing. They're really good people. Are they traveling abroad right now? And she said, yeah, they're actually in Japan. And I said, well, listen, I'm seeing some health issues with your mother. There's something really traumatic going on with her health. And I'm not sure if she has enough time. I need you to contact your parents and make sure she gets to the doctor. They need to end their trip early so she can get back here to the States and go to the doctor. And so she got really frantic. And so she asked me about her family's life. And I said, I see your dad, but I'm not seeing your mom, when I was looking into her future. And she goes, well, what does that mean? I said, I'm not sure, but please call your parents and have them get back here as soon as possible. Your mother needs to go to the doctor. Fast forward, they get on the airplane. I get a call from my client. She's crying hysterically over the phone. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? She said, well, two things, good and bad. The good news is I got a job at a charter school, as you predicted. I was like, fantastic. So I thought she was crying tears of joy. She says, but on the bad side, Tash, my mom died.
Wow.
And she said, you told me to have them come back to the States because of some health issues. Apparently, they took a plane to get back to the States, and she passed away on the airplane from a heart attack.
Wow.
So her mother didn't even make it. Again, I told her how urgent it was.
Yeah.
I said, ASAP, get back. But I was too late, and I kind of blamed myself. It was weird,
Mm.
even though I should never blame myself. I knew how urgent I needed her back, but it just wasn't. It wasn't soon enough for me to give the message to her. So that haunted me for a very long time. Stuff like
Yeah.
that is like, whoa,
So what, yeah, I can imagine. So then how
yeah.
do you, because I imagine you probably need some sort of process just to
Mm-hmm.
to bounce back from stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because if you're seeing a lot of clients in a day and you're just delivering this
Yeah.
like scary, heavy stuff, even if you don't remember it, I
Mm-hmm.
imagine it's a lot on you. Is
Mm-hmm.
there a way,
Yeah.
or like a process or a way you kind of protect yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well, number one, a lot of my clients have a ton of gratitude, which keeps me going. You know, in that instance, my client was sad because she lost her mother, but in the same sense, she was very grateful to me to give her a heads up. So it kind of takes the weight off of me, like, oh my God, I just told you your mom was going to die. But they're so grateful because it was so sudden that she
Mm.
would have never been prepared for that news, like just so suddenly. So because of our session, she kind of prepared for this. The first thing she thought about was our conversation. Like, oh my God, Tash said this was going to happen. So it wasn't such a hard blow. So that kind of gives me some reassurance and takes the heaviness off of me. I also rest. Sleeping is imperative to me. I take naps every day. It's in the middle of my calendar from 3 to 4:30 p.m. And I do sessions from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. every night, Monday through Thursday. And I have my hour and a half break to sleep. So sleeping recharges me. And praying,
Wow.
of course. Praying.
Yeah, we always need to play. So, and now you're doing this. I mean, this is your, this is your business, and you're doing
Yeah.
this on a professional basis. But wait, take us back to like when you're young and you're in school and stuff.
Mhm.
How did you manage this? How did you deal with this? Because I mean, I would imagine maybe you think you're crazy. You're like, why am I
Yeah.
seeing this and knowing this and no one else is? How did you
Yeah,
deal with all that?
absolutely. Well, it was hard because, you know, my mom, of course, and my family, they wanted to protect me because I was different from the rest of the kids. And so in our household, it was like, hey, don't go to school telling people their business. Don't go to school just saying anything you want out of your mouth. My mom used to say your mouth is going to get you in trouble. And I'm like, well, no, if I'm feeling something, I'm going to tell someone. She goes, you know, you can't do that. So the parents teachers conferences were very interesting because I would just like yell out like, oh, Miss Blanchett, I see a baby. You're going to have a baby in your stomach. And she goes, no, Natasha. And I'm like, no, I see a baby. Okay, yeah. So the question on the board is, and I would just go into the lesson. And
Wow.
so like a month later, the teacher would come in and go, so hey, Natasha, Miss Blanchett is having a baby. I'm like, oh, great. And she goes, you told me that. But again, I don't remember.
Wow.
So, and she says, you told me that I was going to have a baby. And I was like, and then I remember like when she reminded me and I was like, oh yeah, great. Yay. And then that was it. But it was my norm. So when we had parents teacher conferences, the teacher was like, hey, you know, Natasha says things randomly and it would happen, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So that was interesting. And so my mom wanted me to keep it very hush hush. I wasn't allowed to read publicly until in my mid 20s. I did a transformational workshop called Momentum Education. I don't know if you've heard of them.
That's where I
Um,
met you.
oh yes, Momentum.
Yep.
Yes, through
That's
Holly, yes.
that's
So
right.
that's when I came out. It was like coming out the closet during one of their courses. I stood in front of the advanced course room and I said, hey, guys, I'm gifted. And they're like, oh, yeah, we all have gifts in the world. You know how it goes, right?
Mm-hmm,
And I'm
mm-hmm.
like, no, I'm gifted. And they're like, yeah, we can all be great in the planet, in the world, you know, talking the language. And I says, no, this is what I mean. So I stood in front of the room and read like everyone in my advanced course. And
Wow.
everyone was like, oh, that gift.
Wow.
So that's, and then it was in that moment when I came out with it publicly and I was like, I'm gifted. As opposed to it just being with my family, it became a public thing.
And so before then though, were you trying to like was it hard just to keep it to yourself? I mean, here you were, because I remember you were working in
Yeah.
another job and I remember going there and seeing you that one time in the city.
Yeah.
And you were just doing, working in the city, just doing your thing and kind
Yeah.
of keeping this to yourself. And it's really
Hmm.
hard. It's almost like, hey, I have a cure for something and I can't give it to you. You're right?
Right.
Did it feel like
Yeah.
that? That must have been so frustrating.
It was. And that's why I started doing sessions on a part-time basis because I felt like I was just doing the world a disservice by not using my gift to be in contribution. And so I started doing sessions on the side. I would work 9 to 5 in corporate, as you know, in
Mhm,
Midtown. And then I
mhm.
would go home and I would conduct sessions from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. at night. And by word of mouth, it just started spreading and spreading. And before I was like booked and I felt like I couldn't manage both. And in most times working in corporate, I would be in an interview with a client or in a meeting, and I would find myself reading who I was in a room with as opposed to focusing on my job. I would always end up reading someone. And
Wow.
I'm like, okay, this is clearly a priority. And I'm going to have to make a decision between corporate and me being in my gift at 1,000%, not knowing what it looked like, which is what was fearful because I can't read myself. I knew that I needed to do it, but I needed to do it responsibly. I couldn't put myself out there on a limb like, hey, I'm taking a leap of faith and I got to keep the lights on, right? So I just was doing it on the side until it became more high in demand, and I knew I needed to make a choice.
The life of an entrepreneur. Any entrepreneur listening to this knows it's like, you give up that what we think is steady just to pursue that passion, and it's terrifying but so unbelievably rewarding. So, okay, there are people like me who just live by the idea of just because I don't understand something doesn't mean it doesn't exist or it's not true, which makes me curious and with everything, and I love that. Then there are other people who are not curious, and if they don't know it or if they weren't raised that way, they think it's bad or wrong or weird or something. Do you run into people like that, and what do you do?
Oh my God, all the time. Because people are like, where does your gift come from? What do you worship? I'm like, well, I'm not a psychic. I can't stand the word psychic, actually. I am a prophet. I just don't brand myself as a prophet because I don't want people to keep me locked in the church. And so I've rebranded myself as an intuitive guru, but I've recently rebranded myself as an intuitive advisor because I'm advising people in their lives by way of my intuitive ability. So the language and the wording has to change, but I always explain to my clients before I even start my sessions that my gift comes from God. I was born with this gift. I've never practiced any tarot cards or candles or voodoo. My family realized when I was 6 years old that I had this gift. So that's natural, right? Where else would it come from? I did go to church. My husband and I, we do pray. I read the Bible, so I have a gift of prophecy that I've branded as an intuitive advisor. So when I explain it like that, people are more at ease because they're like, oh, you're a godly woman. I'm like, absolutely. And it kind of just lightens the experience or the hardness that comes with them wanting a session.
But I still imagine there've got to be people who are resistant. It's like they only are willing to look within that little box of what they've learned, and that's just it. Have you ever had, has there been a situation where someone was, either freaked out by what you shared, or I don't know, they just didn't embrace it?
You know what? The thing is, when I speak to my clients, it's as if everyone's my friend. I call, I'm the girlfriend with the gift. Talking to me is going to be like talking to a friend who just so happens to know all of your business. So people may come, and that's my introduction. People may come in with a discomfort because talking to someone who knows things about your life, that can be a very scary thing. You can imagine. But my level of delivery and my interaction with the person just changes the entire experience, and you don't even realize what I'm doing as I'm doing it. You're just receiving it. So to answer your question, no, I get people that come in reluctant, but I usually know when they are, and I break the ice by saying, hey, you're talking to your girlfriend who just so happens to know all of your business. So that's the icebreaker.
Yeah.
And then they're like, great.
Right. And that's so you too, because even and just for everybody listening, before we even hit record, I mean, Tash was just saying, oh yeah, you know what, you got a lot going on, and, and things are changing and whatever. And it was just part of the conversation. It was like I was having a conversation where I just sort of lent her my brain, saying, hey, here's what's going on, and she's telling me what's going on. And we have not, right? Isn't it true? We haven't seen each other in a very long time.
No, yeah, since the wedding.
Yeah. Tash got married last year. It was just the most magnificent, beautiful wedding. She was such a beautiful bride. So, and you could, if there's something that's popping up about me or any of the listeners or anything, feel free to just add that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So give us a little more, like, what is your plan on how you use this gift, or what do you want to do with it?
So here's the $1 billion answer. My goal is to make a huge impact in the world, period. I'm looking to be a combination of Whitney Houston, God rest her soul, Oprah Winfrey, Steve Harvey, Ayanna Van Zant, and Tamron Hall, like mixed all together as one, and making an impact by way of radio, by way of television, by way of tours, by way of writing books, and helping people identify and understand what intuition is, being open to intuitive advice, and investing in themselves to trust the process and getting the insight that they have. There's people on the planet that's here to help you. You just have to be open to it. So I just want to help people everywhere. I do have clients internationally in Japan, Switzerland, Norway, Dubai, Canada, London, South Africa. So I am international, but I want to go on like a multi-billionaire tour, like something massive where I'm really making an impact.
I love that. You know what's so great too, because the show is from betrayal to breakthrough, and what with the betrayal community, what happens is we don't trust ourselves because we're like, we're smart people. How do we
No.
not know this is coming? We don't trust the betrayer, so we venture like, okay, at least I could trust in something bigger than me, God, the universe,
Mm-hmm.
source, and someone like Tash gives you like, she has that connection that can give
Yes.
you that comfort of just like, okay, look, this is the stuff you can't see, but I want you to know this is what's going on. Personally, for me, I found that really, really comforting. And it gave me hope, because when I saw an intuitive coach, and we spoke to a different intuitive coach, and she said, oh my gosh, Debbie, how you planned this? The two of you needed something so
Yeah.
big to crash and burn. So you're going to heal and teach all this great stuff. He's going to do this and that. And it was so healing and so comforting, because I'm like, at least I'm not just like here just to take sucker punches. Like there's a
Yeah.
reason
Right.
for it. And it was
Yeah.
so comforting. So I want everybody to make sure they know that someone like you offers so much relief and comfort in a
Yes.
time when they're struggling so much. So what
Yeah.
else what do you want to make sure everyone knows before we wrap up?
I just want everyone to just really live their best lives. We're all going to have things going on constantly. There's always going to be rebels in the road. That's never going to change. But if people are open to trusting the process and understanding that things in life happens for a reason, nothing's by an accident, and really moving forward with trying to get through with it, whatever that is, then you'll be to where you're supposed to be a lot faster. I think people hold themselves back, being stuck and not knowing what's in front of them because of their particular situation at that time, where you just have to just move on and move through. And so that's what I do for people. I hope people move on and move through and get clear and not be a victim of their current circumstances by way of my intuitive gift. So that's my purpose. And
I
it
love
helps.
that.
It's life-changing.
It definitely is. And speaking of like trusting the process, I can't have you go without telling the story about how you met your husband.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And I have some things that I want to say to you also, Debbie. So I'll tell you
okay.
that like that.
All
Yes.
right.
So so I met my husband in an Uber. I was on a phone with one of my celebrity clients, and he picked me up from work. He was driving in the Uber. I was the passenger. And so we were checking each other out in the rearview window, and I was like, oh, he's kind of cute. Like, do I say something? Do I not say anything? So fast forward, we're in the car, and I just hung up the call. I was like, hey, I gotta get back to you. I gotta, have this conversation. So we hang up, and I said, hey, how are you? My name is Tash. I felt like he was trying to be professional, but he wanted to say something to me, but he couldn't. So I made the first move. And he's like, hi. And I'm like, hi, you're into boxing. And I started like reading his whole life in Uber. And he looked at me and he was like, who are you? How do you know this about me? What's going on? And I'm like, oh, I'm gifted. And this is what I'm saying for you. And this is what you're going to be doing. Oh, yeah. And by the way, we're lifetime partners. And he was like, what? And I was like, oh, yeah. And then I instantly apologized because I was like, okay, that was very forward. What the heck are you saying, Tosh? You're talking too much now. I know, but he agreed. He was like, okay, great. Like, he was like, this woman's crazy. Like, what the heck is going on? And so we exchanged numbers. He called me later on that day, and we have been inseparable since the day that we met, literally. And that's our anniversary. Our anniversary date is the day that we met. Because we don't remember anything else.
Yeah, that's incredible. Can you imagine now? Listeners, I would not recommend you meet someone and say, we're going to be lifetime partners. I mean, Tash
right.
Stuff. So, she could do that. Okay. So now, of course, you said you saw some stuff about me. So
I do. Yes. So I am seeing a couple of rebranding opportunities for you in terms of embarking into some new things, which is very exciting. Some with regards to a book that I'm seeing for you, some things are changing. Some of the messaging of the book, I feel like, has changed in a sense. Not in a bad way, but in a way that kind of completes the story, if I'm making any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you've added anything to it or you're taking something out or you're doing something, but I'm seeing a change with regards to the book that you were writing. Does that make sense?
Well, you know what? The book is coming out in October, and I actually just had an audition to be the voice for the audio. So I don't know if maybe that's
amazing.
Something there.
Okay, yeah. I feel like the audio is going to be good, but there's going to be a few things that you may add authentically. Not word by word. Like
Okay.
something I feel like is going to change, but it's going to be actually really good. I'm also seeing like a virtual event that you're going to be a part of as well. There's going to be like a virtual event and you're going to be like a keynote or a speaker of this event. They will reach out to you with that shortly, actually. So just keep that in mind. And it's actually like kind of like a woman entrepreneur type of webinar or like big event. So just keep that in mind. Okay.
Great.
The book is actually going to do very well. And I'm seeing some sort of connection with regards to not a manager, but someone who's in the industry that can get you more speaking engagements.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Okay. So that's going to happen for you.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the book is
2021, you'll be very busy.
okay. I think 2020 is a bust for everybody. So let's just get 2020 going, and that sounds great for me. So where can we
Yeah.
go to learn more about you and all the great stuff you do?
Sure. So you can go to my website, which is talktotash.com. That's TALKTOTASH.com. And my social media platforms is at talk, TALK, 2TO, Tash, TASH 922. Those are my social media platforms.
Okay, everybody, I hope you take advantage of this. Tash, really, I'm telling you, if you want to know what's going on with your past, your present, your future, she will definitely let you know in just a fun, loving, just authentic way. I'm so grateful to spend this time with you and
So am I, Deb.
share you with my audience. Thank you so much for who you are and all you do for so many.
Thank you, Deb. And thank you so much for having me as a guest. This is great. Like I'm on my anniversary vacation, and I was like, I can't wait for this. I'm so excited. So you're great, and thank you for everything.
Wasn't that a fun conversation? I love how Tash boldly shares the messages she receives and how grateful people are when they take action with them. Stay in touch by going to talktotash.com, and we'll have all of our information in the show notes at thepbtinstitute.com/podcast. Here's my biggest takeaway. Everyone has a unique strength, gift, talent, and calling. Whether you have a gift of a laser-focused intuition like Tash, you're a compassionate friend, brilliant entrepreneur, you're a great parent, baker, athlete, or whatever. The key is to find and strengthen your gift, then use it to help others. I mean, just imagine our world if everyone did just that. They found their gift and then used it to help other people. Sounds pretty good to me. If you're stuck, we can help. If you're struggling with symptoms, be sure to take the post-betrayal syndrome quiz to see what may be lingering for you at thepbtinstitute.com/quiz. And have you checked out the new PBT Institute membership community? Imagine everything you'd ever need to become your physical, mental, emotional best. Community, support, certified coaches and practitioners you can schedule time with, daily classes on all kinds of interesting topics, curated experts teaching advanced strategies in the areas of health, mindset, spirituality, personal development. Imagine the most friendly, welcoming, and supportive place to become your best, all online. Nothing like this exists, and I'm so excited to welcome you. Go to thepbtinstitute.com/join to learn more. Thanks for listening. Can't wait to be with you next time, and here's to your breakthrough.